Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today's story is about one of the most iconic modern United States coins ever produced, the United States of America 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that captured the spirit of the bicentennial and still fascinates collectors and investors decades later. To truly understand the importance of the bicentennial Kennedy half dollar, we must travel back in time. The year 1776 marks the birth of the United States, the moment when 13 colonies declared independence from British rule. It was a bold and revolutionary act that shaped the future of the world. Fast forward 200 years, and America was preparing to celebrate its bicentennial. This was not just another anniversary. It was a once-in-a-lifetime national milestone. The government wanted something special, something every citizen could touch, save, and remember. The answer came from the United States Mint in the form of redesigned circulating coinage. Among the coins chosen for this historic redesign, the Kennedy half dollar stood out. Originally introduced in 1964 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the half dollar already carried deep emotional significance. By the mid-1970s, it had become a symbol of remembrance and national unity. For the bicentennial celebration, the Mint decided to keep Kennedy's portrait on the obverse but completely transform the reverse into something bold and patriotic. Instead of the traditional presidential seal, the reverse featured Independence Hall, the very building where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted. This design choice was powerful. It connected the memory of a fallen president with the birthplace of American democracy. Surrounding the design were the dual dates 1776 and 1976, a clear reminder that this coin was created to honor 200 years of independence. Now let's talk about mint marks, because this is where the story becomes even more interesting. The bicentennial Kennedy half dollar was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced its own version, and each carries unique characteristics that affect desirability and worth. Coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally carry no mint mark. These coins were intended primarily for circulation, meaning they were released into everyday use. Many Americans actually spent them, unknowingly passing history from hand to hand. As a result, circulated examples are common, but high-quality, uncirculated Philadelphia bicentennial half dollars are far more desirable. The Denver Mint produced coins with the D mint mark. These were also made mainly for circulation, but collectors often note slightly different strike qualities compared to Philadelphia issues. Some Denver coins display sharper details, especially on Independence Hall and the lettering. Finding one in pristine condition can be a rewarding experience for collectors. Then there is the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S. This mint produced special collector versions, including proof coins and special uncirculated sets. These were never meant for everyday spending. Instead, they were sold directly to collectors and enthusiasts who wanted a keepsake of the bicentennial. San Francisco coins are known for their superior finish, mirror-like fields on proofs, and overall visual appeal. Another fascinating aspect of these coins is their metal composition. While most circulating bicentennial Kennedy half dollars were made of a copper nickel-clad composition, special collector issues struck at San Francisco were made with 40% silver. This alone adds an entirely different layer of value and interest. Silver content has always played a major role in coin collecting, and the inclusion of precious metal elevates these coins beyond face value. Condition is everything when it comes to determining worth. A heavily circulated coin with scratches, wear, and dull surfaces will naturally be less desirable than one that looks as if it just left the mint. Collectors carefully examine details such as Kennedy's hair, the sharpness of Independence Hall, and the clarity of the lettering. Proof coins are judged even more strictly, with attention given to contrast, surface preservation, and any imperfections. But value is not just about metal or condition. It is also about story, emotion, and demand. The bicentennial Kennedy half dollar is popular because it represents a shared national celebration. People who lived through the 1970s remember the parades, the fireworks, the patriotic imagery, and the sense of unity. Younger collectors are drawn to the coin because it marks a major historical milestone they can physically own. Over time, these coins have also gained attention from investors. Limited mintage collector issues, especially those with silver content and high-grade certification, are increasingly sought after. As more examples are placed into permanent collections, fewer remain available on the open market. This gradual tightening of supply can influence worth in meaningful ways. Another factor that adds intrigue is the fact that these coins were produced only for a limited time. Unlike regular issues that continue year after year, the bicentennial design was unique. Once 1976 ended, the mint returned to the standard reverse design. That finite production period makes these coins stand apart. Many collectors enjoy assembling complete sets, including all mint marks and both clad and silver versions. Completing such a set provides a sense of accomplishment and a tangible connection to American history. Each coin becomes a chapter in a larger story, one that spans 2 centuries. The Kennedy half-dollar itself has an interesting place in modern American coinage. While it is still legal tender today, it rarely circulates. This adds a certain mystique. People often encounter these coins unexpectedly, perhaps in an old collection, a family inheritance, or a forgotten drawer. When that happens, curiosity sparks interest, and interest leads to collecting. For YouTube audiences, the bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar is a perfect topic. It combines history, patriotism, numismatics, and potential financial interest. Viewers are drawn in by the story, stay for the details, and leave with a new appreciation for a coin they may have seen many times but never truly understood. As we reflect on the United States 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, we realize it is more than a piece of currency. It is a symbol of endurance, remembrance, and celebration. It reminds us where the nation began, honors a leader who inspired millions, and captures the spirit of a historic anniversary that will never come again. We're diving deep into a coin that many people have held in their hands, slipped into drawers, or passed along without a second thought, yet it carries a story that stretches across American history, minting tradition, and collector passion. This is the story of the United States of America 1980 Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that represents far more than its face value and continues to spark curiosity decades after it left the mint. Picture the United States at the dawn of the 1980s. The nation was transitioning through economic uncertainty, cultural change, and renewed national identity. Inflation had shaped everyday life, interest rates were high, and Americans were becoming more aware of the money they used. Coinage during this period was not just a medium of exchange, but a reflection of technological change at the United States Mint and evolving attitudes toward precious metals and circulation coins. The Kennedy half-dollar, first introduced in the mid-1960s, had already become an icon by the time 1980 arrived. The Kennedy half-dollar was born out of national mourning and respect. Following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the United States Mint moved with rare speed to honor him on a circulating coin. The half-dollar denomination was chosen to balance visibility, respect, and tradition. By the time the 1980 issue was struck, the design had already cemented itself in American culture. The obverse still carried the strong, dignified portrait of Kennedy, facing left, with his confident gaze symbolizing optimism and leadership. The reverse continued to display the presidential coat of arms, complete with the heraldic eagle, shield, olive branch, and arrows, all details that connect the coin to the authority and sovereignty of the nation. What makes the 1980 Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar particularly interesting is its place in the evolution of modern U.S. coinage. By this time, the half-dollar was no longer composed of silver. Instead, it was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, reflecting the broader shift away from precious metals in circulating coins. This change alone divides collectors into different camps. Some pursue earlier silver issues for their intrinsic metal content, while others focus on later clad issues for their historical context, minting quality, and condition rarity. The 1980 Mint Mark coin firmly belongs to the latter category, where condition, strike quality, and preservation matter more than metal weight. Mint marks play a crucial role in the story of this coin. In 1980, Kennedy half-dollars were produced at multiple United States Mint facilities. Each mint had its own production characteristics, subtle differences in strike pressure, die condition, and output volume. These differences are often invisible to the casual observer but stand out clearly to experienced collectors. The presence of a mint mark transforms a common-looking half-dollar into a specific artifact tied to a particular facility, workforce, and moment in time. For collectors, this connection adds depth and desirability. Another fascinating aspect of the 1980 Kennedy half-dollar is its circulation story. By the 1980s, half-dollars were already disappearing from everyday use. Vending machines, cash registers, and wallets favored smaller denominations, leaving half-dollars underutilized. Many were saved by banks, hoarded by the public, or set aside by collectors who sensed that these large coins might someday gain renewed interest. As a result, while millions were minted, truly pristine examples are harder to find than one might expect. Coins that escaped heavy handling, bag marks, and surface now command attention among collectors who specialize in high-grade modern coinage. Condition is everything when discussing the value and worth of a coin like this. A heavily worn example tells a story of circulation and daily commerce, but it does not excite the market. On the other hand, a sharply struck, well-preserved 1980 mint mark Kennedy half-dollar with original luster can stand out dramatically. Collectors look for clean fields, strong details in Kennedy's hair, sharp lettering, and an overall eye appeal that suggests careful storage. Even within the same year and mint, two coins can have vastly different levels of desirability depending on these factors. The role of grading cannot be overlooked. Third-party grading services have transformed modern coin collecting by standardizing condition assessment. For the 1980 Kennedy half-dollar, high-grade examples certified by reputable grading services are where serious interest concentrates. These coins represent the best survivors of their mintage and often become centerpieces in collections focused on Kennedy halves, modern U.S. coinage, or mint mark sets. The pursuit of these top-condition coins drives competition and adds an element of challenge that keeps collectors engaged. Beyond the technical details, there is also an emotional and cultural value attached to this coin. The Kennedy half-dollar is more than metal and design. It is a reminder of a pivotal figure in American history and an era defined by ambition, tragedy, and change. For some collectors, owning a 1980 mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is about completing a long-running series. For others, it represents a tangible connection to the late 20th century, a time remembered for both its struggles and its innovations. The market for modern U.S. coins has evolved significantly over the years. What was once dismissed as too new or too common has gained respect as collectors recognize the difficulty of finding flawless examples decades later. The 1980 mint mark Kennedy half-dollar benefits from this shift in perspective. As time passes, coins that were once overlooked gain historical distance, and interest grows. Younger collectors, in particular, are drawn to coins from the era of their parents or grandparents, creating renewed demand and appreciation. When discussing worth, it is important to separate hype from substance. Not every 1980 Kennedy half-dollar is rare, and not every example carries significant monetary value. However, select specimens, especially those with the right mint mark, outstanding condition, and strong eye appeal, occupy a different category entirely. These coins represent the upper tier of survivorship and are pursued accordingly. Their worth is not just assigned, it is earned through scarcity of quality and collector demand. As you look at this coin, imagine the journey it may have taken. From the minting presses that struck it into existence, to the vaults or rolls where it may have rested, to the hands of collectors who recognized its potential. Each stage adds another layer to its story. Coins like this remind us that value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes it takes time, knowledge, and appreciation to uncover what makes an object truly special. Story is not just about metal and minting machines. It is about memory, movement, and meaning. Welcome to a deep dive into the United States of America 1993 P mint mark Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that quietly bridges the past and the present and has captured the attention of collectors and history lovers alike. Setting the historical mood. To truly understand this coin, we must step back into the early 1990s. America was experiencing cultural shifts, technological momentum, and renewed conversations about leadership and legacy. The Cold War era had ended, optimism mixed with uncertainty, and the country was redefining its identity on the world stage. In the midst of all this, the Kennedy half-dollar continued its role as a circulating tribute to one of the most influential and remembered presidents in American history, the legacy of John F. Kennedy. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in the mid-1960s, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation mourned deeply, and this coin became more than currency. It became a symbol of unity, hope, and remembrance. By the time 1993 arrived, the design was already iconic. Every profile line, every engraved detail carried emotional weight, reminding Americans of ideals such as courage, progress, and youthful leadership. Design that speaks without words. On the obverse side of the 1993 P Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar, the left-facing portrait of President Kennedy commands attention. His gaze appears forward-looking, confident, and calm. The inscription of liberty curves gracefully around the portrait, while the phrase, "In God We Trust," reinforces the spiritual and moral foundation associated with American coinage. The date rests below, anchoring the coin firmly in its time. Flip the coin over, and the reverse reveals the presidential seal. The eagle stands proud, wings spread, clutching arrows and an olive branch. This imagery represents strength balanced with peace, a message that resonated strongly in the early 90s. Every star, feather, and line reflects careful craftsmanship, even in a year when half-dollars were not heavily used in daily transactions. The Philadelphia Mint Mark story. The P Mint Mark signifies that this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historically significant minting facilities in the United States. Philadelphia has long been associated with precision, tradition, and volume production. During 1993, half-dollars were still being minted in large quantities, yet many were quickly set aside by collectors or stored away, limiting their exposure to heavy circulation. Why this coin feels different. What makes the 1993 P Kennedy half-dollar interesting is not just its design or origin, but its position in the timeline of American coinage. By this era, half-dollars were no longer commonly used in everyday commerce. This created a unique situation where coins could remain in relatively preserved condition, even outside of official collector packaging. Collectors often view this period as a quiet chapter in numismatics, where subtle variations, mint quality, and condition play a major role in determining interest and desirability. This coin represents that calm moment between high circulation eras and modern collector-focused minting, metal composition and craftsmanship. The 1993 P Kennedy half-dollar is composed of a copper-nickel clad structure. This layered composition provides durability, resistance to wear, and a clean, bright appearance when properly preserved. While earlier Kennedy half-dollars were known for silver content, the clad version has its own appeal, focusing more on condition, strike quality, and historical context rather than precious metal weight. The craftsmanship of the Philadelphia Mint during this period is notable. Sharp details in the hair, facial features, and eagle feathers are often seen on well-preserved examples. These qualities are especially admired by collectors who appreciate technical excellence and visual balance. Collector interest and emotional value. Collectors are drawn to this coin for many reasons. Some seek to complete full Kennedy half-dollar sets, while others are fascinated by coins from transitional eras. The 1993 P Mint Mark fits perfectly into both categories. It represents continuity, honoring a design that never changed, while existing in a decade marked by rapid transformation in society and technology. There is also emotional value. Many collectors remember receiving or seeing these coins during childhood, perhaps from a parent or grandparent. Holding one today can feel like reconnecting with a simpler time, when physical currency still carried stories and substance. Condition and preservation. Importance. Condition plays a crucial role in how this coin is perceived. Coins with minimal contact marks, strong luster, and clear details stand out. Because half-dollars were often stored rather than spent, higher quality examples are not uncommon, but truly exceptional pieces still command attention within collector circles. Proper storage, such as protective holders and stable environments, helps preserve the coin's appearance and integrity. Over time, even small differences in care can significantly affect how a coin is viewed and appreciated. A quiet star in modern numismatics. The 1993 P. Kennedy half-dollar may not scream rarity at first glance, but it quietly earns respect through its symbolism, craftsmanship, and place in American history. It is a reminder that value is not always loud or flashy. Sometimes, it is subtle, built through years of appreciation and understanding. This coin stands as a bridge between generations, connecting the ideals of the 1960s with the realities of the 1990s and beyond. It invites collectors to slow down, look closer, and appreciate the artistry and meaning behind everyday objects. Today, in this video, we are diving deep into the story, value, and lasting fascination of the United States of America 1996 P. Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar. This is not just about metal and minting. This is about legacy, design, history, and why this specific coin continues to attract attention long after it left the mint. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why this coin holds a special place in American numismatics. A coin rooted in American emotion. The Kennedy half-dollar is more than a denomination. It is a tribute born from a moment of national grief and remembrance. After the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the United States sought a way to honor his legacy in a form that could be held, shared, and remembered by everyday citizens. The half-dollar bearing his portrait became a symbol of unity, respect, and historical memory. Every Kennedy half-dollar, including the 1996 P. Mint mark, carries that emotional foundation within its design. Why the 1996 issue stands out. The time the 1996 Kennedy half-dollar was minted, the coin had already been part of American circulation for decades. However, this period represents an interesting era in modern coinage. Circulation habits were changing, and half-dollars were no longer commonly used in everyday transactions. This shift adds intrigue to coins from this time, as many were saved, stored, or overlooked rather than heavily circulated. The P. Mint mark indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historically significant mints in the country. The Philadelphia Mint legacy. Why the Philadelphia Mint is often considered the heart of American coin production. Coins struck there carry a reputation for quality, precision, and historical continuity. When you see the P. Mint mark on a Kennedy half-dollar, it represents centuries of minting tradition and craftsmanship. The 1996 P. Mint mark coin benefits from this heritage, making it appealing to collectors who value both the coin itself and the institution behind it. Design details that capture attention. The obverse of the Kennedy half-dollar features a powerful left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy. His expression is calm yet determined, reflecting leadership and optimism. The engraving details, from the hair to the facial contours, show remarkable artistry. Surrounding the portrait are inscriptions that reinforce national identity and trust. The reverse design showcases the presidential coat of arms, complete with an eagle, shield, and symbolic elements that represent strength and unity. These design elements remain consistent, yet each year's strike has subtle characteristics that collectors appreciate. Metal composition and modern appeal. 1996, the Kennedy half-dollar was composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure rather than silver. While some collectors focus heavily on precious metal content, others appreciate clad coins for their durability, accessibility, and historical relevance. The 1996 P. Mint mark coin represents a modern chapter in the Kennedy series, making it an important piece for those building complete date and mint mark collections. Condition and collector. Condition plays a crucial role in the appeal of any coin. Many 1996 Kennedy half-dollars were preserved in relatively nice shape due to limited circulation use. Coins with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks tend to stand out. Collectors often search for examples that look almost as fresh as the day they were struck. The Philadelphia Mint's quality control during this period adds confidence when evaluating these coins. Why collectors still talk about it despite being a modern issue. The 1996 P. Mint mark Kennedy half-dollar continues to generate conversation. Some collectors are drawn to it as part of a complete Kennedy series. Others appreciate it as a representation of changing American currency habits. It also appeals to newer collectors who want an affordable yet meaningful entry into numismatics. Its story is layered, combining history, design, and cultural significance. The role of nostalgia for many people, coins from the 1990s trigger nostalgia. They remind us of a time before digital payments dominated everyday life. Holding a Kennedy $50 from this era can feel like holding a small piece of personal history. That emotional connection often drives interest just as much as technical details or rarity. A place in long-term collections. The 1996 P Mint Mark Kennedy $50 often finds its way into long-term collections rather than quick trades. Collectors appreciate its stability and the way it complements other dates in the series. Over time, these coins become markers of continuity, showing how a single design can persist through decades of social and economic change. Final thoughts and closing. As we wrap up this deep dive, it becomes clear that the United States of America 1996 P Mint Mark Kennedy $50 is far more than a simple coin. It is a blend of history, craftsmanship, emotion, and modern collecting culture. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or someone just discovering the world of coins, this piece offers a meaningful connection to the past and a quiet confidence in its enduring appeal. Coins like this remind us that value is not only measured in metal, but also in story and significance.